that we cringe on education, so we choose to be dumb. But I read about the times we was longer for one. Relic in the corner, couldn't eat with the dog. Evolution, the revolution, make us sleep with the fog.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the Glow Podcast, and you're here with your girl, Leah, also known as Lady Boss Leader. And unfortunately, the other ladies could not join me today, but that is okay because I assured them that I would hold down the fort, and that is what I plan on doing. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about how do you know if you are a leader? And first of all, I want to open with saying God appoints leaders. So it's up to you to figure and find out as you go along that He has appointed you to be a leader. God is appointing everyone in any skill that he has given us. So everybody has a special skill, a special anointing, a special point of life. Because one thing I know, I can never be like an EMT. I can never be someone that has to deal with blood because it creeps me out. And so God makes everyone special according to His plan and His will for their life and in life in general. So I wanted to say, I want to start with, a story about my nephew, because at a young age, I could see that he is a leader. He has been a leader since he was 2 years old. And, actually he's been a leader since before birth because God had already appointed him. But I used to keep him when he was a toddler. And so when I did, we used to go to the park. And every time we went to the park, it didn't matter what time of day, if it was a weekend or we go to a different park, all the time. And any park that I took him to, he always had the kids at the park to follow him. He didn't say, "Come on, guys, follow me." They just naturally followed him. Whatever he did, if he would go down the slide or if he would run up the slide, if he would run in a circle, he would just do stuff just to see if people would follow him. And lo and behold, every single time they did. And it was just so interesting to watch because it was like, oh my goodness, it's not like he's going like, "Come on, guys, come go with me, do what I do, say what I say, Simon says." It was nothing like that. He was just him. He was just having fun. He was the life of the party. He still is. And so at that young age, I could realize and I recognize that he is a leader. And then I have another nephew. So with that, he started playing basketball. Every time I took him to school, when he started school in kindergarten, he would run and be the first one in line. So I was like, oh my goodness, he's so competitive. But he had started playing basketball at 2. He was always every day up in the room playing hoop. And then so my other nephew, he's a little bit younger. He also plays basketball, and both of them are leaders on their team. They're a team captain. And my younger nephew, he's like, "Come on, Mom, man, we got to be on time. I can't miss. Let's go." So he's always aware of the time, and that is showing leadership as well because you always want to be there. You want to be there early. And it bothers you because it bothers me if I'm late. It's natural for us. We never can predict what's going to happen. We can hit traffic or whatever the case may be. But if I'm late, I am bothered. And so I see that leadership potential in my other nephew as well. And I'm so proud of them. I am proud of all of my nieces and nephews, and I'm definitely proud of my daughter because she is definitely a leader right now. She wants to do everything herself. She is a boss already. She is only 2 years old, but I can see it already because she doesn't want help. She needs help sometimes, and she will realize that, but then she's also aware enough to say, "Mommy, help me." And so I'm just, like I said, I'm proud of all of them. And one point that I always make to my nephews that play basketball, I always refer to Curry because I think he's an amazing player, but God gave him that talent. And he always acknowledged that God gave him that talent. And that's what I was saying about any talents or any skills that you are gifted with is truly a blessing from God. And so you should definitely be appreciative for whatever talent that you may have. some people may not understand or even figure out what their talent is or their skill is until later on in life. But I just want to let you know you do have one, if not many, and he gave them to you so that you can utilize them and give him glory with it. And so I am so happy to say that I love to watch Curry play because he always acknowledges the Lord, excuse me. And so anyway, moving on from that, I wanted to also open up saying, you know that you are a leader if you are not afraid to object. If something is not right and you feel it in your spirit or your mind is telling you something just don't feel right, or you don't want to get in trouble because you know you are a law-abiding citizen. Some people really are. They, you know, that's their skill and their talent is that they want to do right. They want to walk the path of righteousness. And so they don't want to do anything that feels like it's going to be wrong. And that's where your leadership comes in when you're saying, no, it's not for me. I'm not feeling it. I'm not about to do it. So you don't do it. And that is very important so that you can discern, you know, what's right and wrong. And if somebody is doing something wrong, especially I want to say in the workplace, because, you know, my background now is in the union. I used to be a shop steward for 10 years. Actually, that was my first job at the airport, in which was a union job. And I'm always willing and ready to talk about the difference because there's a major difference between a job that is union and a job that is not. So especially when you feel like something's being wrong or, you know, your rights are being violated at work, you definitely want to stand up for yourself and object. And if you know, you might have to find the correct word so that you won't get in trouble of insubordination. But there are words that you can follow along and say, well, basically, I don't care what you're talking about. I'm not doing it. Of course, you don't want to say it like that. But I have always been that one. I don't care how it come out. If I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. I'm also, you know, I've also been a passive person when it comes to doing things because I'm so easy, laid back, you know, going. But if it's anything that I'm like, I'm not doing it or I'm not feeling it, it will be known, you know. But other than that, I go with the flow. It's no big deal, no big deal. But I definitely encourage folks out there that if you're experiencing anything in the workplace or outside of the workplace, if you're in school, if you're experiencing anything in school and it doesn't feel right, it's okay to be a whistleblower. It's okay to say, oh no, I'm not doing that, especially if you stand up for yourself right then and there and you're not, you know, secretive and, you know, he say, she say, or what this person said this and this person, yeah, I said it because I said it to your face. So that's how I always been since a kid myself. If it was something that I was not willing to do, or, you know, if I didn't want to cut with everybody, of course I cut because, hey, sometimes it's going to happen. But when I wasn't going to cut, I wasn't going to cut. I played sports and I was like my nephew, like, well, I got to be on time. I got to do this. I got to that. And I'm not about to mess up or jeopardize that so I could cut. That's not going to happen. Even the point where, as of now, you know, like I said, I'm a big time union worker and they had strikes at school. But I had to cross those strikes. I had to cross the lines because I had a game and I wasn't going to miss as an athlete. You don't want to not go to school or even if it's a strike, you know, that's true. Everybody's like, yeah, we all got to go to school. And most of the time people came anyway, just didn't go to class. But, you know, I had to cross those picket lines because I had to take care of my responsibility, which was being an athlete and being able to play that day. So that was decisions that I made because we could have easily said, no, I'm not, you know, I could have easily said, no, I'm not going to go to school because I'm going to go along with this. However, I had another responsibility that I had to stand up for. And so that was a decision that I had to make. And that's being a leader within itself, making your own decisions and not waiting for someone else to always lead you because like your parents as a kid, you know, they can train you up as a way as a child should go. But you always have to be aware of your own surroundings, and you always have to make decisions for yourself at some point in your life, because your parents are not going to always be there for you. And that's something that, you need to learn early. Responsibility, whether it's, that's why your parents give you, chores, because they're introducing you to responsibilities. Because once you get old or older, responsibilities do not go away. They're going to be there for the rest of your life. And so, kids out there, please, when your parents say clean the kitchen, take the trash out, wash the windows, or whatever the chore that you may have, don't get an attitude, because it's not doing anything but showing you how to be responsible. And you're going to need that for the remainder of your life. Yes. So that is another way to recognize and realize that you are a leader by, like I said, willing to object and ready to object. Leader is always willing to get into the fight. I go back to, my own stories, and it was one time my sister and myself, we were renting a house, and it was nice because it was around the corner from my brother. It was around the corner from my mom. We were super close in distance as far as where we lived. However, it was kind of a rushed job, when we went in, because unbeknownst to us, there's a big gigantic hole in the kitchen, and we had visitors, needless to say. It was covered up because there were slumlords that we were renting from. It was slumlords. And so they had the stove over the hole. Now, you're trying to tell me you don't know that it's a hole in the house and you renting this out to somebody? It was despicable. And I was infuriated because, first of all, that's just the first thing. So we didn't even move into the house, because after we signed the papers and everything, that's when we discovered that it was a hole. Because, like I said, we had visitors, and so we had someone come out and inspect, and he was like, you might want to come look at this. Anyway, so the point of this story is that I fought. I fought the whole time that we lived there, because I fought for our rights to get our money back. I fought to the fact that we couldn't move into the house. For it took us maybe 2-3 months after we signed the papers before we could move in, because we had to wait, of course, for everything to be cleared out. But I stood up for our rights. That was not right. That was, like I said, a slumlord situation, and we got some money back. Then on the back end, when we moved out, now mind you, I cleaned this place from top to bottom. My sister and I, we cleaned this place from top to bottom. It was a spick and span shape when we gave it back. It was in better shape than it was when they gave it to us, because we cleaned that place so good so that we wouldn't have any problems to get our deposit back. That ain't what happened. So when we go to get our deposit back, they try to say, "Oh, we're going to keep this amount of money for cleaning services." What do you mean? I gave it back to you way better shape than you gave it to me. So that's not going to happen. So I had to fight for that as well. And I didn't back down. And even to this day, when I tell my mom about, a situation that I'm in and I had to fight for it, and she'd be like, "Oh, well, they don't know who they messing with." Or, they don't know that my daughter did not play that. And so every time that she says that, it gives me strength to continue the fight. Because if you're a fighter, you do get tired. Any boxer, and in rounds that they in, they're gonna get tired. And so, I get tired. I don't want to have to fight every situation, every step of the way. And that has definitely been my life. I have had to fight in the littlest situations to the biggest situations. And like I said, I do get tired, but I keep on. And that's another way that you can identify yourself as a leader, as if you're a fighter. If you don't take no for the answer, or if you know that you've been doing wrong, and you stand up and you fight against that wrongdoing, you know that you are a leader in that sense. Another way. Let's go on to another way that you know that you are a leader. A leader is always looking out for the best interests of the person or the people that they are leading. If you're a leader, people need to like you. You need to have something that people, and a reason why people are willing to follow. You can't just be like, oh, today I'm a leader and you're gonna be my follower. That it doesn't work like that. People have to be willing to follow you. You can't just announce, I'm doing this, or you feel like you're taking advantage of authority that you might have. That doesn't make you a leader. What makes you a leader is when people are willing to follow you. That's key, because how you gonna lead if nobody wants to follow? And nobody's gonna want to follow if you are not easy to talk to. You definitely have to have authority, but you also have to have the easiness of people to approach you. Because if I need to ask a question, I don't want to be afraid to ask. I don't want to be afraid to approach you, because that is not, that's not good leadership. Good leadership is being able to identify with your followers. You have to be able to step in everybody's shoes at one point or another. If that person is following you, you got to understand where they're coming from. You have to understand what they're going through. And it's a lot of times that you may not understand. But if you listen, then you can kind of get a picture of what it is that they're talking about. Sometimes people just want to vent. I know that's myself sometimes. I call up my sister, or I call up my mom, and I just want to vent because, like I say, I go through so much as a leader and as a mom, or as a coworker, as the different hats that I wear as a boss, as a business owner, as just everyday life, bills, and anything that's going on at work. Oh, when I was at the airport, definitely I vented a lot because I was working with the public, and they can definitely work a nerve. And so it was a lot of times that I would call my mom and my sister and just want to vent. And my sister, she's lady of inspiration for a reason, because she always is looking for an answer, or some way to help you cope, to comfort you. And so sometimes she's like, so is this one of those times that you just want to vent? Because I wish I had something to tell you. And I'm like, yes, sister, I just need to vent and get it out. Because guess what, guys? You feel so much better when you get things off your chest. Don't hold stuff in, because that's going to do nothing but hinder your progress. And please, if you don't have someone to vent to, then vent to yourself. When you in a room by yourself, get a notebook, write it all out. And after you write it all out, burn it up so that it can get off of you. It can get off your mind. It can get off your chest, and so that you will feel better. But like I said before, you definitely want to be able to feel the pressures and anything that someone else may be going through, because we all of us, we have something that is plaguing us. We have something that is wearing on us. We have something that we maybe feel like we're drowning, and everybody's problems are different. And that's what I said in one of my songs. The first thing I opened up with is, I wouldn't want to trade my problems with nobody else. You don't know what that person is going through. However, you want to be that person as a leader. You want to be that person that someone else can lean on when it's time is needed. You want to be that person that can understand the shoes that they are walking in, even though they're way too big or too small for you. But you want to be that lending ear. And sometimes if you do have advice, you want to give that advice to someone. Somebody may not be looking for advice, but if they are, you want to be able to give it to them, even if it's something that you have not experienced. And we all know that once you experience something, it's so much easier to walk somebody else through it. However, that's not always going to be the case, because like I said, we all have a different path, and God gives us all different problems. So it's diversity in problems. And I wouldn't want to trade it with nobody else. But I definitely want to, after listening to them, after letting them vent, and if they are looking for some type of comfort, then I definitely want to be able to give that. And you can't be so stone-hearted to be a leader. It's just not going to work, because that means as a leader, you're working with people. And that's the key. Working with, not working above, not working for, not working because. You're working with people. And that's how it's going to be much easier for people to follow you. Trust me. You have to get along with people. You have to be like, oh, can you do this with me? Or can you help me with this? You can't just be demanding, because that is going to cause resentment. People are not going to always like someone who is always demanding and abusing their authority. As a leader, you want to act like, and not saying act like, but you want people to work with you and not for you. And they feel much better when that is the case. And so that is another way that you can determine if you are a leader. Let's think about something else. What else determines whether you are a leader or not? If you can give directions, you have to be able to give direction. You have to be able to delegate tasks. You have to be able to show someone how to do what it is that you want them to do. So as a leader, we all have to have a team in anything that we do, because we cannot do anything in this world that's going to be beneficial, that's going to be big, that's going to help a group of people. You can't do it by yourself. Anybody that goes to church, you a lot of times you don't see all of the things that go on behind the scenes to make that church work. But pastors and bishops are definitely first and foremost to say, I can't do this without a team. That's the first thing. You have to build your foundation, and the team is your foundation. So with that being said, you have to be able to, decide who is best at what. That means you may have to have a sit down conversation with everyone so that you can understand what their strengths and weaknesses are, because you want everybody to be working within their strength so that your team can be the strongest that it can be. And you, as a leader, you have to be able to determine who you're going to assign to what task, and so that it can be done, and the whole thing comes together as a whole. That's very important as leadership. Another thing that is important in leadership, let's see. I would definitely say, to be a leader, you have to have patience. And patience, anybody out there who knows me knows that that's something that I have to work on every day. Even though I may not be willing to, because that is one thing that has always been one of my weaknesses, is that I'm impatient. I'm very impatient. I always say, man, if I can't have it like tomorrow, I don't want it at all. And that's also being bullheaded, the Taurus that I am, the boss that I am. It's like, I know what I want. So why can I not get it? Why can I not have it? Even though I know what I want, I still know that I have to work for it. Anything that comes easy will not stay for long. And I know that God is doing a superior work in me, and I have to be patient, because what He has for me is so much bigger than what I could ever imagine. And I dream big, y'all. I dream huge. So I know that the blessing that God has for me is much bigger than those big dreams that I've already had for myself. And I know that takes patience, and my mom helps me with that. Just being able to vent and cry about the things that that you want, but you have to be patient and wait for it, is that's really hard for me. So I know that is something that is hard, but is ideal. You have to be patient, because as a leader, people are not at the same point as everybody. We all at different points in our life, but we have to be patient with other people, because it may take a long time for them to realize that they're not at the point where you need them or want them to be. And sometimes it may not happen. It may not, because God makes leaders and God makes followers. Sometimes people are not strong enough, or and not even trying to knock anyone, but their personality, they have such an easygoing personality, and they don't feel comfortable to be in the fight all the time. Sometimes if something is directly affecting them, and I say that because at work, a lot of times people don't want to speak up, especially if it's not directly affecting them. However, for me, I didn't care if it was directly affecting me or not. If it was affecting someone, then somebody needed help. Somebody had to stand up. And, I saw for myself that is not always the case for everyone. Somebody somewhere needs help from someone else. And that could be talking from the standpoint of a child. A child, the daddy gotta stand up for your child at some point, because they don't know. One, they might not know that they're being done wrong. Two, they might be too young to understand what's going on. Three, anything could be, they might not feel comfortable in a situation, especially when it's an adult that they're going up against, because that happens all the time. I'm gonna tell you this. My mama told me when I was 5 years old, I had haters because of my hair. I had adult haters because of my hair. And that's just so ridiculous to fathom. And, and the way she told me, it was just like, oh my gosh, I had haters at 5. And so at that point, I'm only 5 years old. My mama had to be, had to stand in for me and fight for me, and check people, correct people, because that is so not no couth for an adult to be hating on a child or making life difficult for a child. And I say that, because we have issues at school. Oh, I don't even want to go into the issues that are going on at school right now. I'm still upset that they try to take out music, and they try to take out sports, and they've taken out prayer. When I was in school, in elementary school, prayer was okay. We could pray in school. We used to pray in school, and now it's like, oh no, we're not having that. They don't even have sex education, but then they have other education that I'm not even going to go to, but they have other education that should totally not be in school, and that's just my opinion. And I'm going to be standing up for my daughter when she's time for her to go to school, and it's something that I do not agree with. Oh, they will hear about it, because just because you think that it's okay, other parents may not think that it's okay. They don't approve. And I think that is a lot of things that's going on in these schools that they need to run it by these parents so they can have their opinion. And if it's something that I'm going to object to, then I'm going to object to. And if that's the way I feel, then do not put my daughter in that situation where she has to be subjected into a situation that I don't feel is right. Okay, like I said, I'm just going to leave it vague like that. I'm not going to really dive into that, because that's a whole nother story within itself. So anyway, yes, we're talking about how do you know if you are a leader. So there's many different ways to figure out and find out if you're a leader. One of the ways I haven't even spoken about is, I kind of tippy-toed around it, but you're a leader only if you have people that are willing to follow you. And so that's being said, people come to you at work and they ask you, okay, they tell you this is what's going on. What do I do? It's just some people that are not in a known role of leadership, but they are naturally a leader. And that's the people that other folks come to and be like, hey man, I just want to ask your advice on this, because this is something that I'm experiencing. I just feel like something's not right. So what should I do? If that happens to you all the time at work, and you're that person that people always come to and ask for your advice because they notice that you are not afraid to speak up, then you're a leader. You are a leader. People are willing to come and ask for your advice, and then, they're willing to try it out. Because I had so many times people would come, vent. They'll let me know what's going on. They'll ask me what it is that they should do, and I would let them know. But most of the time, a lot of the time, they didn't feel comfortable with, the solution. And so it was like, well, can you just, and at first I always did is like, okay, I'll help you, I'll help you out. But then I had to realize that I can stand with you and fight, but I'm not gonna fight for you. Because what is the good of a one-man army? You win battles when you're able to stand together. And we could even say that with the Black community. We have always said, together we stand, divided we fall. And once we're able to really stand together as a community, then things get done. And you can see the difference when we're able to stand together. And so that you are a leader when people always come up to you and ask you for your advice, or they ask you, what it is that they should do in this situation, help them find a solution, and that they do what you have suggested. Even if it's just if they try, it's not always going to succeed, because even though you tell somebody how, then that doesn't mean that they're going to know how to do it themselves. That saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. If you leading somebody to water, it's up to them to actually drink. It's up to them to actually put it into focus. It's up to them to actually do what it is that you have provided for them to do, the blueprint that you may have given them. A lot of times people give a blueprint. You can even say with relationships, it's a lot of times a man or a woman will give their partner the blueprint of how to make them happy, how for us to get along, this, that, and the third. And it's up to the other person to follow the blueprint, not because, I'm telling you what to do. No, I'm expressing what would make me happy. And you should be able to do the same. You should be able to express what makes you happy. And if we are not willing to work on that together, then it's not going to work, you know? So blueprint is like building the foundation. You have to have something to refer to. You have to have the correct measurements. You have to have the correct material. You have to have everything correct, so that it will glue together and so that you can stand on. And that being said, you have to have a platform. You can't just be like, okay, I'm gonna stand on my own too. But in order to reach a bigger audience, you need to have a platform. And I do believe that with my talents that God has given me, that is going to create the platform that I need to be able to reach worldwide. Because at the end of the day, like I said, he gives you talents and he gives you skills so that you can glorify him, and talk about him. That's what God wants from us, is to get out there and talk about him, and that's why he gives us trials and tribulations. That's why he gives us the problems that we have. And that's because you don't know that he's real and that he works unless you have a reason to. And so when we first started this podcast, one of the stories that I told is that I know that God is real because when I was 17 years old, I had a terrible car accident and I walked away pretty much unscathed. I only had like a piece of glass in my finger and like a scratch down my chin. But the car was totally totaled. And, I still thank God for saving me from that. And that was at the point where I knew and I know that God is real, because he's the only one that could have saved me from that. It wasn't luck. I don't believe in luck. I believe in blessings. And while the car accident was happening, I couldn't get a prayer out. The only thing that I could get out was, oh God, oh God, oh God. But I was calling on him. I wasn't saying, I wasn't calling for my mom, even though at some point I'm sure that I was, because I was totally scared. But the words that were coming out of my mouth that I remember is, oh God, oh God, oh God. And so the car, I actually saw, when I say I saw before my eyes, first of all, I saw before my eyes my life flash before me. That's one thing. That is scary. I don't know if anyone out there has been, close to death, but if you have, that, your life flashed before you. And I was only 17 years old, so it wasn't like I had, a long flash, because I was young. But I do remember that it did flash before my eyes, excuse me. So I don't really know if I thought that I was gonna die. But that's something that you hear, that before you die, your life flashes before you. And so, like I said, I was just saying, oh God, oh God, oh God. And I saw the front end of the car smash up, all my windows busted out. My tire blew. That's the reason why my car spent out, and I hit a T-bone a van. And so so when I hit him, he spent out, he flipped over. I ended up going the wrong way on the freeway, and I went up an embankment, and my car flipped on his head and then flipped back onto his tires. So my tires were busted out. Every last piece of glass that was in my car was busted out. My whole front end was smashed up. My doors were smashed in. You know what? And this is the one part, I don't even know how I got out of the car. I know I just completely walked out of the car on my own accord, but I don't know that I had to climb out the window. I don't know if I was able to open the door, because of course, it was a flash of an extremely scary part in my life. And I went to work that same day because I just wanted to, I just wanted normal. I just wanted to be normal. And I had just gone through a super tragic event. Had to go to the hospital in an ambulance because, like I said, if anybody out there has seen this car, they would not have believed that somebody survived, but I did. And it was back, I don't know, it's for the older people, if you remember, it was back when the seat belts was connected to the door. And so that's another thing that God allowed for me to be able to be saved. So the seatbelt did not restrict me. I was able to actually turn almost completely around. When the glass was breaking in the front, I was able to kind of turn completely around, so that glass did not just shatter in my face. So I remember that as well. And I revert back to this story because, like I said, this is how at a young age I knew that God was real. So, whew, I don't know, I went into a tangent on that, but I just wanted to share the full story because when I first told it, I didn't tell the full story, but God is definitely real. He was real then, he is real now, and that's just the first time that I realized his presence. And I'm completely thankful that he saved me. He saved me because he had already appointed me to be a leader, and it's something that he has for me to do. And if you are a leader out there, he has something for you to do as well. Thank you so much for joining me. I just kind of, scraped the tip of the iceberg. That's not everything that you need in order to be a leader, but that's just something that I wanted to start with. And like I said, I wanted to hold everybody down because there wasn't able to join me today, but we definitely still wanted to put out a show. And that's why we talked about leadership today. So, like I always say, if you want to contact us at the Glow Podcast, please email us at booktcll24@gmail.com. You can always call us at 510 613-5229. You can find us on all kind of platforms, Facebook, IG, on YouTube. That's where you see this show. Reach out to us, because we not only willing and able and ready to do live shows. We want to come out there and meet everyone. We want to come and have engaging conversations with our audience. So if you know anyone, an organization, you'd like to speak at churches, juvenile halls, schools, universities, anywhere that positive talk is needed, we are there, because we're all about uplifting, sharing our stories of overcoming, because you know that you were created to overcome. We know that God is real, and we will always mention him, because he deserves the glory. We thank him for his mercy and his grace. And that's one of the G's that stands for in GLOW, is grace, graceful, glorious, leaders, ladies, overcoming. So thank you for joining me today at the GLOW podcast. My mom usually takes us out in prayer, but I'm definitely going to say a quick one. I am not anywhere as good as my sister or my mom, but that is what we do here at GLOW. And so I am going to take us out with a prayer. And I want to say we will see you next time. All of us will be back. But I hope you had a good time with me today. Lady Boss Leader, Leah Taylor is my name. And I hope that you guys enjoyed today, and we'll be coming back soon. Dear Heavenly Father, I just want to foremost thank you. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for being so glorious. Thank you for being so forgiving. Thank you for being you. Whew. Thank you for all the things that you have done for us. Thank you for leading us. Thank you for being our backbone. Thank you for being you, Lord. And I want everybody that is listening to make sure that they give a shout out and thanks to you, because without you, we are nothing. And although that is my view, everybody does not have the same view, Lord, but I do want everyone to get to know you. Whew. Thank you so much for your grace and your mercy. Thank you for keeping us. Thank you for our senses. That's one thing that, we don't want to take for granted. Thank you for giving us the sense of understanding, the sense of being able to hear, the sense of being able to see, Lord. I thank you for all of your blessings and all of your grace. And I hope our audience had a good day today. And I want to take us out by saying thank you and amen. All right. This is the GLOW podcast, reminding you to be you because everybody else is taken, and reminding you that you were created to overcome. All right. See you guys next time.